Welcome back to the apple tree analogy. I'm Melissa. In the last video I posted, I mentioned that one of my biggest struggles with my mental health is finding the motivation and the energy to get done all of the things I need to do. This lack of motivation and energy is exactly the reason that the apple tree analogy spoke so directly to my soul. But what is the apple tree analogy and where did it come from? So a few months ago, I met with an educational advisor from school to figure out my plans for the next few terms. He asked me a few questions about, what direction I wanted to go with my education and my career plans, what I want to be when I grow up. I shared with him my frustration of dreaming of becoming a public speaker, but not knowing how to get there. You guys, I hit the jackpot that day. Of all the advisors I could have randomly been put with, I ended up meeting with someone who owns his own public speaking company. So our 15-minute appointment lasted probably almost an hour, but it was out of this meeting that the apple tree analogy was born. I love a good analogy. So this is what my advisor shared with me. There's two parts. Part one is the seed. In order for a seed to grow, it needs three things. It needs pressure from the soil around it, it needs sunlight, and it needs nutrition. My advisor challenged me to figure out what my pressures, sunlight, and nutrition are. So pressure, of course, is a force that pushes something. The pressure in the soil pushes on the seed. The little seed needs to really fight hard against that pressure in order to germinate and sprout. Once it's sprouted, that little seedling needs to continue to fight the pressure of the soil in order to make it to the surface to find the sun. If it didn't have that pressure from the soil, the seedling would be, thin and weak and spindly and just really wouldn't be able to support its own weight. So the pressure from the soil is what forced the seed to grow in strength. Everyone's soil pressure is going to be a little bit different, but really what it comes down to is your lived experiences are your soil pressure. Now, I hate the idea that I was given my challenges to make me stronger or because I had a lesson I needed to learn. I don't buy into that idea at all. But I do know that I did grow stronger through my challenges, not necessarily because of them. I grew stronger because I chose to fight against the pressure. I chose to fight against the challenges. I chose to fight against the struggles in my life. I hope that makes sense. Okay, the sunlight in the analogy seemed like a pretty easy thing to comprehend for me. The seed feels the warmth of the sun through the soil and reaches for it. My sunlight is what I am reaching for. For me, it's my hopes and my dreams. It's a future or eternal perspective. I dream, of course, of becoming a successful public speaker, of maybe getting married again someday, of getting a job in my own house and not having to live with my parents anymore. I dream of having a garden, a dog, and a cat, maybe even having a bit of land and raising goats or sheep. You guys, I right now am fascinated by the idea of moving somewhere hot where I can talk and garden and play with baby goats and sheep all day. I dream of not having to share a bathroom with my kids. I dream of my kids staying in their own beds all night long so I can get a decent night's rest. Some of my dreams are big and some are small, but they all give me something to look towards and reach for. And finally, the nutrition. The nutrition was the hardest part of the analogy for me to figure out. And I still don't know if I'm 100% there yet as to what exactly my nutrition is. In the apple tree analogy, the nutrition is the food found in the soil that feeds us. It could be there organically, or it could be put there in the form of fertilizer. Food, of course, gives us energy to do all the things that we need to do. Remember earlier when I said I had no energy to do all the things? Yeah, I need more food, or better food. If we don't eat the right foods or get the right balance of nutrition, we can't grow and could become weak or sick. The same is true for the seed. If there's not a balance of proper nutrients in the soil, it cannot reach its full potential. See where I'm going with this? The nutrition is the things that are in your daily life. They can be just naturally there, or you can choose to put them there. Watching videos about how to get more energy, or how to deal with a narcissist, or how to raise baby goats are all nutrients. Going for a walk, playing with your kids, painting, crafting, reading, going to school, going to work, going to church, talking to friends. All of these things can provide the nutrition that you need to grow. So now part 2 is the apple. I decided to combine the 2 parts of the analogy into one video just because the second part is pretty simple. So once our little seedling has sprouted and grown strong, it becomes a mature apple tree. Every year, this tree puts all of its energy into producing beautiful, juicy apples. But then what? The apples could just hang there until they eventually fall to the ground and rot, or they could be shared. They can be eaten raw, or they could be made into applesauce, or apple potpourri, or apple pie, or a whole host of other wonderful appley things. Unfortunately, the apples do not benefit the tree in any way. They're only useful when they are shared with others. So what the educational advisor I talked to told me was that my apples are my talents, specifically my voice. My ability to share my story and help other people is my apple. I can tell myself my own story a million times over, but that's not really benefiting me. It's only beneficial when I use my apples to feed others. Now, of course, if my little seed hadn't grown strong in the first place, then trying to grow apples would ruin the little tree. We have to grow our own seed first in order to supply apples to others. I hope that makes sense. Basically what I'm getting at is the idea, you can't pour from an empty cup or put your own oxygen mask on first. You need to make sure that you are strong and able to take care of yourself before you can start taking care of other people. So my question for you is, what things are your pressures? What things are your sunlight? And what things are your nutrition? And what are your apples? What are your talents? What are your gifts to the world? And what do you need to do to become a strong apple tree who has the ability to share with the world? Thank you guys so much for watching and joining me on this journey. I hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you next time. My kids told me that I have to start reminding everybody to subscribe to my channel, or else you won't do it. And don't forget to like and share my videos if you like what I'm doing here. So hit the button, ring the bell, do all the things. It's for the kids.